Hey dads, welcome to Father Friend, a podcast for dads who want to lean in, lead well, and love big. I'm Dr. Mike Ayers. We often don't think about it, but we live in a culture that has never had more than it has today. More free time, more things, more appliances, more luxuries, more technology, more information, more accessibility, more wealth. And yet somehow we have less contentment and less gratitude. And this isn't just anecdotal. The research backs this up. Studies comparing the 1950s to today show that despite our material wealth being exponentially greater, we have far more income, bigger homes, more technology, yet the percentage of people reporting they're very happy has actually declined. In Britain, 52% of people said they were very happy in 1957. Today, just 36%. In America, researchers found that despite a 60% increase in per capita income over 35 years, 50% larger homes, 120 million more cars, and computer ownership rising from 0 to 80%, the percentage of Americans describing themselves as very happy peaked in the 1950s and has declined since. And depression was considered rare in the 1950s. Today affects nearly 1 in 3 American adults at some point in their lifetime. We have more stuff than ever, but we're not happier. If anything, we're more anxious, more depressed, and less content. How does that work? Well, in a world that prioritizes what's wrong and what's imperfect, just watch the evening news for 5 minutes, gratitude has become almost a radical practice. We're trained to focus on what's missing, what's wrong, or what could be better. The constant bombardment of negative information, unmet expectations, and personal struggles easily overshadows the blessings that are quietly woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. But here's what I've learned. Gratitude doesn't just happen spontaneously. It's a discipline, and it has to be practiced. It's the conscious effort of noticing the good, even when it's hidden behind imperfections. And that's what I want to explore with you today. Let me start with a story from Luke chapter 17. Jesus encounters 10 lepers on the road. Now, if you don't know much about leprosy in the ancient world, understand this. These were the ultimate outcast. They couldn't touch anyone. They couldn't be a part of society. They lived in isolation, often in caves or designated areas outside the city walls. Their lives were defined by loss, rejection, and hopelessness. Jesus sees them and heals all 10 of them. Can you imagine? Think of all that pain, physical, social, moral, gone, healed. Their nightmare was over. They were going to live. Now they could run, shout, hug their kids, live in their homes, think about tomorrow, and do all the things that people usually take for granted. It was a gift beyond calculation. But Luke tells us that only 1 of the 10 returned to thank Jesus. One guy, a Samaritan, which makes the story even more pointed. He stops, he turns around, he comes back and falls at Jesus' feet in gratitude. Now we all hear that story and think, that's tragic, that's not right. Jesus deserves better. And yes, he does. But the story also points out something that may be true for us too. There's a way of living life that's callous to the blessings we have. We may not have ever had a disease miraculously cured, but there are a multitude of things to be grateful for in this life. The question is, are we noticing them? The one leper demonstrated something rare. He actually paid attention. So gratitude flows from a kind of vision that actually seeks out blessings. It's about more than just feeling thankful. It's about seeing the good. Unfortunately, many of us live ungrateful lives, not because we don't have anything to be grateful for, but because we aren't paying attention. The constant noise of life, paired with our brain's natural negativity bias, makes gratitude feel out of reach. And by the way, this negativity bias is a real thing in neuroscience. Social media experts know this. Why do you think it's so addicting to constantly scroll on your phone? Our culture doesn't make this any easier. We're surrounded by constant comparisons. What other people have, what we're missing, what we feel entitled to. Social media has turned comparison into a full-time occupation for many of us. Gratitude requires us to develop the discipline of noticing the positive aspects of life. It takes work. It takes practice. Like the leper in the story, we need to stop, turn around, and give thanks for what has been given to us. We have to train ourselves to see things differently. Now, here's where it even gets harder. We have to learn to be grateful for imperfect gifts. Because here's the reality. In this world, the only kind of gifts that we will ever receive are imperfect ones. If I wait for things to be perfect before I give thanks, I never will. Those of us with perfectionistic tendencies need to hear this. For us, it's perfect or nothing. It's perfect or it's ruined. Perfectionism brings underlying discontent where you see nothing is right. The pursuit of perfect actually creates a blindness to the good. We have to be comfortable with the imperfect. That's the world in which we live. And it illustrates something important. The illusion many of us have that somehow circumstances will produce permanent gratitude if we just have enough good things happen. Let me tell you a story about my son Ryan. When he was about 4 or 5 years old, his grandfather decided to play a trick on him. Ryan was hoping to get toys for Christmas, but his grandfather decided to give him a pair of socks and see how Ryan would react. Well, Ryan opened the box and found the socks, and you could see the look of confusion on his face. He wasn't upset. He didn't throw a fit. He was just shocked about getting something like that rather than a toy. Now, we had tried to teach Ryan to always be thankful for what was given to him, and he was always a sweet, compliant child from the very beginning. So he looked at the socks, looked at his grandfather, and forced out the words, "Thank you, Grandpa," from his lips. Then he quickly went to the next gift under the tree. We all laughed and laughed. You know the question every parent asks their children, right? After a child receives a gift or favor from someone, parents always say the same thing. What do you say? And the child is supposed to respond, "Thank you." Why do we do that? Because we want to raise grateful children. We know that when we begin to express gratitude, we very often start to feel it. Here's the thing though. Learning to be grateful takes practice. That means we practice it in good times and bad. Yes, even when we're experiencing anxiety or disappointment, that's the perfect time to practice gratitude. My boys played basketball, and they said the coach would always make them practice free throws at the end of practice when they were exhausted and ready to go home. That coach knew something. You practice when it's hard so you can perform when it matters. But instead, when we have a difficulty or hurt, we often turn to a quick fix. We settle for a little escape that dulls the pain or provides a substitute pleasure. We turn on the TV so we don't have to think about what makes us so anxious. We take a drink, get on social media, overwork, or buy something. We do this instead of facing life fully and squarely, rather than sitting with the difficulty and seeing through it to the point of deep gratitude so that we see things in spite of the pain to be grateful for. Listen, there's always something there for which to give thanks. So authentic gratitude, the kind that God desires for us, comes in the midst of pain and suffering, not when it's alleviated. Some would say that true gratitude is only expressed when life doesn't work out the way we planned. If you're only thankful for the good, you're not experiencing gratitude. You're just experiencing getting what you want, and that's easy to do. The Apostle Paul understood this. Listen to what he wrote from prison in the book of Philippians. "I'm not saying this because I'm in need, for I've learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength." Did you catch that? He learned to be content. It's a discipline. It's a choice. True gratitude doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from perspective. Pastor Paul McDill at our church in Rockwall said something that really stuck with me. He said, "Listening to the wrong voices creates wrong values, and any teaching that adds to your fear subtracts from your faith. The issue isn't what you don't have, it's what you don't see." That's it right there. Discontent is not a problem of not having enough, it's a problem of perspective. Simple gratitude can change everything. So you can have contentment or you can have ingratitude. It's your choice, but you can't have both. Let me give you a reality check. We live better today than kings ever once did. Hot showers, modern medicine, safety, entertainment, luxuries that the greatest minds in history could never have dreamed of. Yet in a world where everything is easier, people feel more lost than ever. The ancient Stoics taught us that happiness isn't found in adding more, but in appreciating what's already here. The moment you stop comparing your life to others and start seeing the gifts in front of you, peace begins to appear. So the next time you step into a hot shower, take a second to remember you're living a life most humans in history never got to experience. That's something worth being grateful for. Let me close with a familiar Christmas story. Remember the Dr. Seuss story of the Grinch who stole Christmas? Remember what happened when he realized the true meaning of Christmas? The night before Christmas, he stole every present, everything imaginable from the people in Whoville, including Christmas trees, decorations, presents, and even their food. But Christmas morning, with everything gone, they still held hands and sang a song of gratitude. Remember what happened? His heart grew and grew, 10 times plus 2, it said. And then the Grinch said, maybe Christmas doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. That's what gratitude does. In a world of give me, serve me, pay attention to me, gratitude grows our hearts. But ingratitude, it shrinks our hearts. Ingratitude makes the heart grow smaller, harder, and colder day after day. It's a miserable way to live. If you're honest, some of you would have to say to yourself, I really kind of live with an ungrateful heart. I often see myself as a victim. There's a bitterness and entitlement about me. So if that's you, here's how to break the grip of ingratitude. It's really very simple. Express thanks. Give sincere thanks to God and to others. When we begin to express gratitude, we very often start to feel it. Gratitude is not a quick fix. It's a lifelong practice. Like any discipline, it requires time, effort, and intentionality. But the more we cultivate the habit of noticing, the more we learn to be thankful for imperfect gifts, and the more we shift our perspective, the richer and more fulfilling our lives become. So stop waiting for things to be perfect. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to express your thanks. Start noticing the blessings around you, even in the midst of life's messiness. This Thanksgiving, be the one leper who came back. Notice, stop, and give thanks. Thanks for listening today. I'm Dr. Mike Ayers. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with other dads. I'd love to hear from you. Email me at mikea@fatherfriend.net with comments, questions, and your biggest takeaways. For more tools, resources, and real talk on fatherhood, visit fatherfriend.net or follow on social media @ThinkingDads. See you next time.